The garage door slams open, rattling on its tracks. Bright daylight floods the space, catching the swirling dust in the air. The buzzing of a power saw abruptly stops as Jake looks up, startled. Standing in the doorway, hands on her hips, is Karen, the self-proclaimed queen of the HOA, her face twisted in fury. "Karen, what the actual hell do you think you're doing, Jake? This is the third goddamn complaint I've gotten this week." Jake pulls off his safety glasses, wiping sweat from his brow. "I'm working, Karen. Inside the HOA-approved hours with all the right permits. I don't see a problem." Karen: "Oh, you don't see a problem? You think running a fucking lumber mill in your garage doesn't affect anyone else? Newsflash, buddy. This isn't some backwoods hillbilly DIY fest. This is my neighborhood. People here don't want to live next to a damn construction zone." Jake sets his tool down, stepping forward, eyes locked onto Karen's. He's had enough of this woman's bullshit. Jake: "Calm but firm. Karen, let's get one thing straight. You might run this HOA, but you don't run me. I know the rules better than you do, and I haven't broken a single one." Karen scoffed, stepping forward, voice dangerously low. "You arrogant little shit. You think just because you can hammer a few nails, you're untouchable? I can ruin you." She jabs a perfectly manicured nail toward a clipboard clutched in her left hand. Karen: "Multiple noise complaints, unauthorized business activity, potential safety violations. That's 3 strikes, Jake." Jake: "This isn't a business, Karen. It's my goddamn hobby. You ever heard of one of those?" Karen laughs, coldly flipping through the clipboard. "Oh, don't you worry. The board is already looking into it. We can fine you into the fucking dirt if we want to." For a moment, Jake just stares at her, chest rising and falling. He knew Karen was power-hungry, but this was straight-up personal. The camera pulls back, showing the pristine suburban neighborhood beyond Jake's garage. Identical beige houses, perfectly manicured lawns, not a single stray leaf on the pavement. This place isn't a neighborhood. It's a fucking kingdom. And Karen is the self-crowned queen. Karen lives for control. Every shrub, every paint color, every mailbox is exactly how she dictates. And until now, the residents have been too spineless to challenge her. The HOA is her weapon of choice. 1 complaint, a warning. 2, a fine. 3, you're basically excommunicated. Jake isn't a rule breaker, but he's the first person in years to push back, and Karen hates that. Meanwhile, Jake's garage is a stark contrast to the sterile perfection of the neighborhood. Stacks of raw wood, sawdust-covered floors, carefully arranged chisels, clamps, and stains. A craftsman's domain, one that Karen has decided doesn't belong in her community. What she doesn't know, the custom furniture he's making is for her own damn anniversary, a surprise commissioned by her husband. Jake sighs, rubbing his temple, forcing himself to stay calm. Karen is waiting for him to snap, but he won't give her the satisfaction. Jake: "You know what, Karen? Fine. Let's play this your way. You want to throw complaints at me? I'll contest every single one. I've got timestamps, decibel readings, and legal fucking permits to back me up." Karen's lips curl into a smirk. She lives for these fights. Karen: "Oh, Jake, sweet, naive, new Jake, you really think this is about rules? It's about who wins. And trust me, I always do." She turns sharply, walking toward the driveway, but stops just before she leaves. Karen: "Enjoy your little wood shop while you can, sweetheart, because soon you won't have one." With that, she's gone. The garage door rattles slightly in the wake of her departure. Jake exhales slowly, his hands clenching into fists. He didn't come here to fight. He came to build, to create. He left the corporate world precisely to get away from power-tripping assholes like Karen. But now, this isn't just about his workshop. It's about principle. He looks around the garage, at the half-finished table he's building for Karen's own goddamn anniversary. Oh, this is going to be interesting. Karen has no idea that the very thing she's trying to destroy is her own husband's surprise gift. And Jake? He's done playing nice. Got it? Buckle up, 'cause this war's about to explode. I'm going all in. Pure script writing, no fluff, no filters. Within guidelines, of course. This next part is fire. A car engine revs aggressively, then screeches to a halt. A fresh morning, the sun barely climbing over the rooftops. But peace? Fucking gone. Because marching up the driveway, lips pursed, clipboard clutched like a damn sword, is Karen. And she's not alone. 2 HOA board members trail behind her. Walter, 60S, balding, cowardly, and Linda, 50S, resting, consenting face. They exchange uneasy glances, but Karen, she's on a goddamn mission. Jake, already outside sipping coffee, leaning against his truck. Jesus, Karen, did you sleep in your car just to be the first asshole I see today? Karen snaps back, eyes flashing. Oh, fuck you, Jake. You want to be cute? Let's see how cute you are when you're drowning in violations. Jake barely flinches, taking his time opening it. His eyes flick over the pages. Noise complaints, zoning issues, alleged safety concerns. Jake, holy shit, Karen. You compiled this overnight? When do you even sleep? Or do you run on pure spite and Botox? Karen, victory. Ooh, you think this is funny? That's $500 per violation. Multiply that by, let's say a month's worth? You're looking at, what, $5,000? And if you don't pay, we lien your property. Walter clears his throat, uneasy. Even Linda shifts uncomfortably. It's overkill. But Karen, she's thriving. Karen, leaning in, whisper soft. Your little wood shop? It's done. A beat. Jake's face darkens. He doesn't give Karen the explosion she's expecting, but the stillness, that's worse. Jake? Calm measure. Oh, honey, that's not how this works. You either comply or the HOA makes your life a living hell. Pick one. A long silence. The air is thick. Then Jake smiles. And that's when Karen should have been afraid. Jake. Karen, you ever hear the story about the woman who tried to drown a shark? Karen scoffs, rolling her eyes. Oh, for fuck's sake, Jake leans in, voice ice cold. See, sharks don't drown, they just get angrier. A sudden gust of wind kicks up sawdust from the garage, swirling around them like a storm about to hit. Karen glares, but she sees it now. She didn't just poke the bear, she stabbed the fucking shark. Jake steps back, tossing the folder onto the driveway, letting the pages scatter. Jake, send me the fucking bill, Karen, I'll frame it. Karen's smirk drops. A small crowd is gathered, residents murmuring, clutching their mail, stealing glances toward the center of the commotion. A posted notice has been stapled to the community bulletin board, printed in bold red letters. HOE emergency meeting tonight. Mandatory attendance. Jake rips one of the flyers off, scanning it. His name is all over it. Noise disturbances, non-compliant activity, unauthorized business operation, older residents. Millie? Jake, what's all this about? Jake scoffs, waving the paper. Oh, just Karen trying to play fucking Judge Dredd with my workshop. Younger dad, Mark, 30S, holding his daughter's hand, hesitant. Are they really fining you $5,000? Jake sees it in Mark's face. The fear. That's the thing about HOA rule. People don't fight because they're scared, but fear? It only works until someone stops playing along. Jake, grinning, loud enough for the crowd to hear, Karen's bluffing, and tonight we're going to call her on it. A murmur spreads. People are listening now, watching. Maybe, just maybe, they've been waiting for someone to push back. Cut 2. A packed room. Rows of plastic chairs. The HOA board seated at a long table like some medieval tribunal. Karen sits at the center, a fucking queen on her throne, fingers tapping smugly on the tabletop. Jake steps in. Every head turns. The moment he walks through the door, it's clear. This is a setup. Karen stands immediately, voice booming into the mic. Karen, there he is, our neighborhood's resident nuisance. Laughter, mutters. Some people shift uncomfortably, others eating this shit up. Jake, calmly taking a seat up front. You know, Karen, if you were half as good at running this HOA as you are at being a vindictive harpy, this place might actually be livable. Gasps. Someone chokes on their water. Karen's nostrils flare. Karen. Cute, but let's talk facts, shall we? Mr. Linda, who stands and starts reading from a folder, points. Mr. Carter has been cited for excessive noise levels, unauthorized business operations, and continued failure to adhere to community guidelines. Jake cuts in. Hold up. Unauthorized business. Explain that shit. Karen smirks. This is the moment she's been waiting for. Karen, sweetly, oh, didn't you hear? Multiple residents have reported you selling furniture. Jake snorts, shaking his head. That's a goddamn lie. I've sold nothing, not a thing. Karen mocks surprise. Really? Because we have testimonies that say otherwise, and if it's true, well, that'd be grounds for, let's say, a lawsuit? A tense silence. Jake's jaw tightens. Karen leans back, drinking in his reaction. Karen leans back. You should have backed down, Jake. Now? You fucked. Jake exhales slowly. He looks around. The crowd is watching, waiting. This is the moment. This is where most people crack, where they give in. But Jake fucking smiles. Because Karen just made one crucial mistake. She doesn't know what he knows. The tension in the room is thick as hell. Karen sits with a shit-eating grin, basking in her apparent victory. But across the room, Jake, he's calm. Too calm. And that should scare her. Jake leans forward, elbows on his knees, looking right at Karen like he's about to dissect her soul. Jake, casual as hell. You know, Karen, I thought about rolling over, just saying screw it, and letting you have this one. But then I realized, why let you win when I can watch you burn? The room shifts, murmurs. Karen's fingers tighten around her pen, but her smirk holds. Karen, oh, wow, Jake, that was really dramatic. Did you practice that in the mirror before coming? Jake, ignoring her, turning to the audience. Hey, Mark, motions to the younger dad from earlier, who's sitting toward the back. You bought that coffee table from me last year, right? Mark freezes. Eyes dart to Karen. The whole room waits. No, I didn't. Jake nods, spinning toward Karen. Ha, weird. That's not what your little testimonies claim, the ones you submitted in a legal fucking complaint. Karen's expression flinches. Karen? Forced laugh. Oh, don't be ridiculous. We have multiple signed statements. Jake cuts in, holding up his phone, from people who are now texting me saying they never signed a damn thing. A beat. Karen blinks. Then, the cracks start to show. She whips around to Linda, who's frantically flipping through the paperwork. Walter, practically shrinking into his seat. The crowd? Now they're murmuring for a different reason. Random resident. Wait. She forged shit? Another resident mutters. This is looking real shady. Karen slams a hand on the table, cutting through the noise. Karen, give me a fucking break. What? You think he's telling the truth? You think this shit-stained carpenter? Jake, low, deadly calm. Say that again. The room goes still. Karen's mouth snaps shut. Jake slowly rises to his feet, rolling his shoulders, the kind of movement that says a fight is about to happen. Jake, cold as hell. You think you can sit there and lie to this entire neighborhood? Set me up, forge complaints. Did you really think I wouldn't fight back? Karen stands too, trying to hold her ground, but now the confidence is crumbling. Karen, snapping desperate, this isn't a fight, this is about rules, Jake. And you, Jake grinning, but it's dark as hell, are about to find out what happens when you break your own fucking rules. He pulls out a printed document, a HOA violation form, and slaps it onto the table in front of Karen. Jake, Karen, I did some digging, and guess who's been running an unregistered rental business right under the HOA's nose? Karen's face drains of color. Karen, low, barely a whisper. You? Jake, mocking whisper back. Me? No, sweetheart, you. A ripple of shock moves through the room. Whispers turn into outright talking. Linda, muttering, flipping pages, eyes widening. Oh, shit. Karen spins to her, seething. But Linda, she won't meet her gaze, because now the tables have fucking turned. Jake just leans back in his seat, watching the walls close in on Karen. And he smiles. A thunderous banging on the metal roll-up door. The sound rattles the walls, shakes the tools on the workbench. It's the kind of pounding that isn't just aggressive, it's fucking hostile. Jake exhales, sets down his sander, and cracks his neck like he already knows who the hell it is. He swings open the door, and there she is, Karen, looking like she crawled out of hell, her face twisted in rage. Karen spitting venom. You fucking think you're smart, don't you? Jake just leans against the doorframe, arms crossed, wearing that same easygoing smirk that's starting to send Karen into a goddamn spiral. Jake, cool as ice. Nah, just smarter than you. Karen lunges forward, jabbing a manicured finger inches from his chest. Karen, this isn't over. You want to play dirty? Fine. Burn you to the ground. She whirls around and storms off, but Jake, he doesn't move, just watches her go, because deep down he knows. This is just the beginning. And Karen, she's about to get real fucking desperate. Jake steps outside and stops dead in his tracks. His mailbox, stuffed to bursting with HOA notices, and on his front door, 3 violation slips taped up like warning posters. He pulls one off, skims it, eyes narrow. Noise complaints. Continuous and disruptive noise between the hours of 6 p.m. and 2 a.m. Blatant bullshit. Property violations, unapproved modifications to resident structure. Also bullshit, his shop was approved years ago. Safety hazard. Service margin. Literally fucking nothing. Jake lets out a slow breath, hands tightening on the papers. His jaw works for a second before he laughs, a dark, knowing chuckle. Because now he knows exactly what's happening. Karen sits behind a ridiculously oversized desk, flipping through some papers, looking pleased as hell with herself. Across from her, Walter and Linda, the HOA's go-to lackeys, shifting nervously. Walter, uncertain. Karen, are you sure this is the best way to handle? Karen cuts in, sharp as a blade. Oh, don't grow a conscience now, Walter. Leans back, smirking. He wants to fight, then we bury him in rules. Linda shifts, glancing at a fat stack of official-looking documents on Karen's desk. Linda, hesitant, but these aren't real violations. If he appeals, Karen slamming a hand down, furious. He won't. Huh? Because by the time he even tries, he'll be so tangled up in bureaucracy he won't know which way is fucking up. Linda and Walter exchange a nervous glance. They know Karen's unhinged. but they also know she's dangerous when she's cornered. A crowd gathers in the HOA's main hall. Neighbors, committee members, and Jake sitting dead center like a lion in a den of jackals. Karen stands at the front, sickly sweet smile plastered across her face. "Karen," loudly addressing everyone, "we love rules, and one resident has decided to blatantly disregard them." A low murmur moves through the crowd. Some people glance at Jake, others at Karen, a little too aware of her usual bullshit. Karen gestures toward the screen behind her and bam! Up pops an edited, out-of-contextual video of Jake working in his shop, sped up to look like he's running some massive, illegal operation. The sound is distorted, the timestamps are edited. It's designed to make him look like a reckless asshole. Karen spins back to the crowd, feigning sympathy. "Karen, now I know Jake is passionate about his work, but this isn't just about him. This is about our community's safety." Jake, silent, unmoving, but his knuckles white as hell. Then, before Karen can continue, someone stands up. It's Mark, the same guy Karen tried to use against Jake earlier. And Mark, he looks pissed. Mark, pointing at the screen, "That's bullshit. That video is edited." Karen flinches but quickly recovers, smiles. Karen, patronizing. "Oh, Mark, sweetheart." Mark, louder, cutting her off. "Don't sweetheart me, Karen. I work in video editing, and that timestamp faked as hell." The crowd shifts, people muttering, eyes narrowing at Karen. Karen's smile stiffens, but before she can recover, Jake stands up. And suddenly, the entire room goes still. Jake, low, deadly calm. "Karen, what the fuck do you think you're doing?" Jake sits on his porch, beer in hand, staring at the pile of complaints and notices stacked beside him. He doesn't look angry anymore. He looks tired, because for all his fire, this is starting to drain him. His livelihood, his name, his entire fucking life, dragged through bullshit bureaucratic hell just because one miserable woman can't handle lose. He rubs a hand down his face, and for just a second, he wonders if it's worth it. The air is thick with sawdust and tension. Jake stands at his workbench, gripping a chisel so hard his knuckles have gone white. His latest project, a handcrafted oak dining table, sits half-finished in front of him, a labor of love. But right now, he can't even look at it. Because sitting on his workbench, a fucking HOA notice, but not just any notice. This one, final warning. Cease all unauthorized work immediately or face legal action. Jake exhales slowly. It's not fear that settles in his chest. It's something colder, something sharper. A fight is coming, and this time, Jake's not gonna wait for it to land on his doorstep. The diner's neon sign flickers against the rain-slicked pavement. Inside, a small group huddles around a booth. Jake, Mark, Linda, Karen's former lackey, and Mrs. from Ramers, the sweet elderly woman from 2 doors down. They're quiet, but there's electricity in the air, because this is war strategy. Mark, leaning in, voice low. "I did some digging. Karen doesn't just bend rules, she fucking breaks them." He slaps down a folder, photos, emails, and one particularly damning document that reads, "Unauthorized HOA Fund Allocations 2023. Jake," raising an eyebrow, "you're telling me Karen's been stealing HOA money this whole time? Not just stealing, laundering. Fake invoices, dummy accounts. She's been funneling money into her own pockets for years." Mrs. Ramirez gasps, hand over her mouth. Mrs. Ramesses. Linda. Grimacing, "I knew she was shady, but Jesus, this is bad." Jake leans back, rubbing his jaw. His mind is already turning gears. Karen's been playing dirty, but now he has the ammunition, and he's about to fire the first fucking shot. Jake slams a thick folder down on the conference table. Across from him, the HOA board members shifting uncomfortably. Karen sits at the head of the table, unfazed, smirking, like she already knows how this ends. Jake, leaning in, voice cold as steel. Explain this. He slides the folder forward. Karen doesn't even look at it. Karen, oh honey, you think a few papers are going to scare me? Jake's eyes darken. Jake? No. But I think jail time might. The room goes still. For the first time, Karen's smirk falters. Just for a second, Jake notices. And that's when he knows he's hit a nerve. Karen leans forward, voice syrupy sweet. Karen, soft, deadly sweet, you have no idea who you're fucking with. She turns to the board members, all business now. Karen, this is just another personal vendetta from someone who doesn't respect our community's standards. I suggest we dismiss this nonsense and move on. The board members shift nervously. Then, to Jake's absolute fury, one by one they nod, dismiss the case. Just like that. Jake stares in disbelief. Because now he knows. The system is rigged, and if he wants to take Karen down, he's going to have to burn the whole fucking thing down with her. Jake pulls into his driveway, and then he stops cold, because standing there, clipboard in hand, smirking like the devil herself, is Karen. Behind her, a tow truck, hooked to his workshop. Karen! Sing-song, sweet as poison. Hi, Jake Tilda. Looks like your illegal structure's finally coming down. Jake's pulse thunders in his ears. Jake, quiet, dangerous, you wouldn't fucking dare. Karen tilts her head, fake innocence dripping from her voice. Karen? Oh, but I would. See, since you refuse to comply with regulations, we're enforcing a mandatory demolition. She steps forward, lowering her voice so only he can hear. Karen? Whispering, cruel, you should have known better than to fight me. Jake's hands curl into fists. His shop, his work, his entire goddamn passion. And she's just ripping it away because she can. The tow truck rumbles to life. Chains tighten, metal groans. And Jake sees red. The tow truck engine growls, gears grinding as the steel chains pull tighter around Jake's workshop. Wood creaks, metal groans. The whole structure's about to come down, and standing there with a fucking smirk on her face, Karen. She's enjoying this. Jake steps forward, his heartbeat pounding, his jaw locked tight. This isn't just about a workshop, it's about principle, and right now, that principle is about to throw hands. Jake marches right up to Karen, inches from her face. His voice, dead calm. The kind of calm that happens before a storm rips a roof off. Jake, low, dangerous. Turn that truck off, now. Karen, she doesn't flinch. If anything, she leans in closer. Her perfume, some expensive bullshit that smells like fake wealth and nastiness. Karen, mocking smug. Oh, Jakey, you really think glowering at me is going to stop this? She gestures at the truck, smirking. Karen, mock sympathy, you had so many chances to just comply, but no, you had to be all rebellious and independent. And now your little illegal shack is coming down. Jake's hands are fists, his vision, tunnel locked on her. But then he sees something behind her, movement. His neighbors, a dozen of them, maybe more, some standing on porches, others peering from windows, a few stepping closer, arms crossed, watching. Jake realizes something. This isn't just about him. They've been waiting for someone to stand up to Karen. Well, here the fuck it is. Jake steps back, not because he's backing down, but because he's done playing by Karen's rules. He turns, not to her, but to the tow truck driver, a burly guy in his 40s looking real uncomfortable. Jake locks eyes with him. Jake loud, clear as day. Hey man, how much is she paying you for this? The driver blinks. He wasn't expecting that. Tow truck driver, hesitant. What? Jake, calm, firm. How much? Because I'll double it right now if you turn the engine off. A hush ripples through the crowd. Karen? She stiffens. Karen? He's under contract. You can't just... Jake, ignoring her, still locked on the driver. You a contractor, right? Private work, not city? The driver nods, slow. Jake, then you can walk away. I'll cover your whole fee plus a bonus. Cash. The driver's brows furrow. Karen? Loses her shit. Karen, furious, screeching. Kidding me? Jake finally looks at her, smirks. Jake, mocking, cool as hell. Oh, Karen, you really thought you were the only one who could buy people off? The tow truck driver? He thinks fast. Eyes dart from Karen to Jake, to the gathering crowd. Then he shuts the engine off. The chains go slack. The crowd murmurs. Someone even claps. Karen? She looks like she's gonna spontaneously combust. Karen, losing it, pointing at Jake. You think this is over? You have no idea what you just did. Jake, grinning, arms crossed. Oh, I do, and you know what? I'm just getting started. Jake steps back toward the crowd, lifts his voice. Jake, just a quick show of hands. How many of you have been bullied by Karen? A beat. Then hands go up. 1, 2, 5, 10. More? Karen? Her face drains of color. The crowd, energized now. Linda steps forward, voice loud, clear. Linda! Firm, pissed. She's been stealing from the HOA fund. We have proof. Murmurs turn to outrage. Someone yells, Random name! For my garden gnome. Other neighbor. She had my car towed for parking in my own damn driveway. Remeyer's sweet but deadly serious. And she threatened to evict me because my porch was too cluttered. Karen backbattles. Her mouth opens and closes. The realization is hitting her all at once. She's lost control. The people she ruled over with fear, they're not afraid anymore. And Jake is about to bury her. Jake, pulling out his phone, cool as hell. Well, Karen, seems like you've got a little PR problem. He taps the screen. The big TV on his workshop flickers on. A slide appears, spreadsheets, emails, receipts, and one massive bold headline. HOA president embezzles thousands. Prove inside. Karen? She fucking screams. Karen's face is twisted, somewhere between rage and panic. The TV screen behind Jake, still glowing. The evidence is all there. The emails, the bank statements, the HOA's missing funds, the crowd murmuring louder. Karen? Fucking drowning. And just when she looks like she's about to snap completely, she lunges. Right at Jake. Nails out, face wild. She screeches, Karen! Earl, unhinged. You? Fucking bast! Like she's nothing. Karen stumbles, nearly eating dirt. But before she can even straighten, 2 men step in front of her. One, Officer Tompkins, HOA's favorite cop. The other, Robert, HOA's former treasurer. The guy who Karen forced out. Both, stone-faced, arms crossed. Karen pauses, realizes she's cornered, and then Tompkins pulls out his handcuffs. Officer Tompkins. Flat, no nonsense. Karen Anderson, you're under arrest for embezzlement and fraud. A collective gasp. Karen? She freezes. Then she laughs. Not a normal laugh. A high-pitched, losing her damn mind kind of laugh. Karen, hysterical, shaking her head. You can't be serious. I'm the fucking HOA president. You think you can just arrest me like some common criminal? Jake, mocking, tilting his head. Karen, that's exactly what you are. Karen's eyes dart around, looking for a way out, looking for support, but the crowd, they step back. Not one person stands with her. Linda, arms crossed, smirking. Mrs. Ramirez, shaking her head. Even the silent ones, they're done with her. Karen, she's alone in the realization. It slams into her. She stumbles back, mouth opening, closing, trying to find words that might fix this, but there aren't any. And finally, she screams, just screams. And then, the handcuffs click. As Karen is hauled to the police car, the tension breaks. The crowd explodes. People are talking at once, some cheering, others laughing, a few even hugging. Jake, he watches, and he sees it, the power shift. For the first time in years, this place, it feels like a neighborhood again. And then, a voice. Linda, loud, clear. Linda! So, I guess we need a new HOA president? A beat, and then the entire crowd turns to Jake. Jake! Wary. Oh, fuck no. The crowd is silent, every single person looking right at Jake, like he's the goddamn chosen one. Jake? He rubs his face, lets out a long, exasperated breath. Because this is exactly what he didn't want. Jake, grumbling, shaking his head. Look, I just got done kicking out a dictator. The last thing I want to do is become one. Linda steps forward, arms crossed, eyebrow raised. Linda, challenging, amused. Nobody said you had to be a dictator, Jake. Just a decent human being, which, as we've established tonight, is a low fucking bar. A few people chuckle. Jake shoots her a look. Jake, dry, unimpressed. Wow, so inspiring, that really makes me want the job. Linda smirks. But then, her expression softens. Linda, more serious now. Listen, we don't need some power-hungry asshole running this place. We need someone who actually gives a damn. And, like it or not, you just proved that's you. A few neighbors nod, murmurs of agreement. Jake? He shifts his weight, frowns. Because shit, they're serious. Jake looks around, sees faces he's known for years. People who've had to deal with Karen's bullshit just as much as he has. People who trusted him tonight. And now? They're trusting him again. And deep down, Jake knows, if he walks away now, some other asshole's gonna step in. Some other Karen. And it'll all just start over again. So, he sighs. Then, he grins. 'Cause if he's gonna do this, he's doing it his way. Jake, crossing his arms, smirking. Oh, all right, fine, I'll do it, but on one condition. A beat, the crowd leans in. Linda raises an eyebrow. Linda, curious, which is? Jake, grinning wider. We abolish the HOA. Dead! Silence. Then, the crowd erupts, cheers, laughter. Someone even fist pumps the air. Linda? Ha 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 ha. She barks out a laugh, shakes her head. Linda! Now that's a platform I can get behind. Jake smirks, crosses his arms. Jake, mock serious. Vote for me. I promise to do absolutely nothing. More laughter. Someone yells, Nay, finally, a politician I can trust. The energy? It's different now. Lighter, hopeful. For the first time in years, this neighborhood, it's not just a place where people live. It's a place where people stand together, and as Jake looks around, he knows this was the right call. Jake turns, heading back toward his house, done with the night, but just before he steps inside, a voice stops him. Mrs. Ramirez. She steps forward, clutching a small envelope, eyes shining. MRS Ramirez, soft, grateful. Jake, I just wanted to say thank you. Jake pauses, turns, and Mrs. Ramirez? She holds out the envelope. Jake, Ramirez smiles. MRS Ramirez, a little something from all of us. for everything you did tonight." Jake blinks, opens the envelope. Inside, a stack of cash. Not much, but enough. Enough to say, "We see you, we appreciate you." "Jake," he swallows, hard. "Because this is real." He looks up, meets Mrs. Ramirez's gaze. "Jake," soft, honest, "you didn't have to do this." Ramirez, smiling, firm, "We wanted to." A long beat, and then Jake nods, pockets the money, and for the first time tonight, he lets himself smile. Because maybe, just maybe, this neighborhood, it's finally home.